Good morning, everybody. My name is Chris Cucci. I'm with Center State Bank. I'm also part of the CEO Leadership Forums group, and glad to kick off the meeting here today. If anyone knows Jeff Gallo, I know a lot of you here know him. He couldn't make it this morning, wasn't feeling well, so I'm filling in for him. So I'm just going to kick off the meeting, and I'm winging it, so be kind to me. But so this is our second of a three-part series of CEO Leadership Forum workshops that we're doing in 2017. We did the first one a few months ago. Our second one was scheduled for last month, and the hurricane prevented that from happening, so we decided we would reschedule for now. So we're doing today's workshop, which is number 2. The third workshop is actually coming up pretty soon as well, so if you mark your calendars, November 16th, same time, same place, we'll be holding the final workshop of the year here. And then throughout the year, if you haven't participated before, we do a lot of other events. We do some kind of networking, socials. We like to get everybody together from that facilitate these groups, the people that come out to attend the meetings, our business owners and C-levels from around Central Florida, and then also some of our partners from Valencia College who are also here today. So as I hope you know, the CEO Forums, our purpose with this is to educate, to inform, and hopefully to share some best practices among a lot of successful business leaders here in Central Florida. And along with that, we have a partnership that we've developed here at Valencia College. So obviously, we've got a nice venue that they've provided for us today. They're filming. We put these videos up on YouTube so that you can go back and see these events if you want to see them. We also do some short recaps of the events. But in addition to that, our partnership with Valencia does extend beyond just using their facilities. I'm going to have Dr. Nasser Hedayat come up in just a few minutes, and he's going to talk to you a little more about our partnership with Valencia. But primarily what we're trying to do is build connections. So we have all of these local companies here, a lot of growing companies that are regional, maybe going on to national. And then we've got Valencia College, which is producing a lot of young, talented workforce. And the goal is that we keep all of these talented people who are coming out of the college locally here in Central Florida or in Florida and help grow our own economy. We don't want them leaving to New York, California, or wherever the next big opportunity is. So the goal is that we create those opportunities here for them. And we're going to do that through this partnership. So I'd like to have Nasser, if you'd like to come up for a few minutes. He's going to talk to us about Valencia, and then we'll get today's program kicked off.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nasser.
Welcome to Valencia College. The first order of business is if you need to go to washroom, is on my right, on the right side, past the staircase, and you're good to go. Let me share with you about Valencia College and then our partnership with the forum that we started back in close to 2015. Valencia College, as you know, is 50 years strong. We're just celebrating our 50-year anniversary here. Last month, July 29th, we had an breakfast event we held with our business partners here, which we had over 200 participants. And I shared our 50-year history with the group. And I'd like to share that with you, Chris, not in 15 minutes, in 60 seconds. Fast forward. Valencia College started back in 1967. The idea of a junior college started in 1962 between the Martin Company that you know, formerly known as Martin Marietta, today is known as Lockheed Martin, a prominent lawyer in the attorney in Orlando area, Mr. McGuire Jr., and Channel 9. They were strongly behind the college to get started because of the workforce needs. So in 1967, we started our programs in the portables on Jangyan, 11 portables, 500 students that we started. And I have to sign to say that they were saying that predicting by 1980, we will serve 18,000 for Central Florida. 18,000. Well, let you know that by 1980, we were serving 39,000 students. Valencia currently is 70,000 students strong, and we are thinking that if we grow at the rate we have been growing, in the next 50 years, we will be reaching 120,000, 130,000 students. How can we accommodate those? We got to go to satellite campuses. Therefore, you are in this building. This is a joint building with UCF. And UCF is having almost 5,000 students, UCF students completing the baccalaureate degree right in this building. So that's the power of partnership. So Chris talked about partnership. Partnership is about bridging the gap, working together, and making sure that we meet the needs of our community. The workforce need is very important to college. We do everything we can. Our strategic plan is all about creating the skills needed to fill in those jobs, occupation, and so forth. Valencia currently is offering almost 131 degree programs. We have 5 baccalaureate degrees, and I just want to let you know that the latest baccalaureate degree that we opened, that we got approval by the Department of Education, was our baccalaureate degree in business, and that is mainly because of the work and the partnership with this forum. And I'm very grateful for all of your support to help us to get that baccalaureate degree approved. The forum, when we started working with forum, it was too good to be true. And Dr. Letno mentioned that in our event, that we said, wow, that is really a great partnership, because it is because of this forum we connect our students to jobs, opportunities for advancement, and so forth. So the forum provides a scholarship opportunity, the forum provides internship, part-time, full-time job opportunities, and we really welcome all of those opportunities and working with the forum. The college currently has 8 campuses, and we have working on the 9th campus, as you probably heard, downtown campus, which is going to be in partnership with UCF. And that campus will be housing our culinary, hospitality, and restaurant management, digital media, and I want to thank our director for digital media, Rob McCaffrey, and his students that are here filming this. This is one of the top-notch programs that we have, and I'm always proud to introduce them because of the great work they do. So feel free, feel this is your home, and please ask my team any question you like, and be comfortable, and wish you all the best for today's work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nasser, and I really, really appreciate what Valencia does for this group. This mentioned earlier, but this facility that they're providing is outstanding, and really appreciate the partnership. And I think we have some students from Valencia here. We have, yep, all right. Best dressed, by the way, in the group, so thank you. I'm Doug Foreman, and I'm with Fringe Benefit Plans, and today we're going to be talking about different ways that companies can help recruit, retain, reward employees. Myself, I'll be speaking, as well as Rick Dalrymple, Bob Gravely, and we have some guest speakers who have utilized some of the programs that we're going to be talking about, and then we'll have a chance to hear from David Poprod regarding tax and updates in regards to the taxation for your companies. But before we get started into all of that, I would like to take a moment and just go around the room and just have quick introductions from everybody. And if you wouldn't mind also, for those who are guests, like Ruben, maybe just tell a little bit more about your company. The reason being is I just get fascinated by the different ways that people make money. For example, for lack of better words, dog food, right? Snacks, and you have dog food over here. And I was talking to Jason. He probably knows more about anybody in this room if you've ever given a specimen, right? So he can tell us a little bit about what he does, but just amazing how different companies make different money. So if you wouldn't mind, maybe we'll start over here.
Pleasure. So thank you very much for having us here, Marcia and I. We are partners with Wolfgang Bakery Stores. You probably know the pet shops. In my case, I'm partnered with 11 stores, 5 in Florida and 6 in Georgia. And we also own a business, a distribution business. We have the rights for the brand, and we have the private label division of the company. So we bag treats, we bag like 120 different products to sell throughout the 100 stores in the United States of Wolfgang Bakery. So the reason we are here is because we are part of the Brazilian invasion that is probably faced here. Brazil, we both were like CEOs in our companies in Brazil, and we were threatened by difficult situations, and we decided to move our families to protect them against the violence. And for this reason, I'm very pleased to be in the United States. That's the world's paradise, and that we are being very welcomed by everybody we met. So we now have about 45 employees, considering all the businesses, and we intend to grow it, to continue investing to help the growth of this beautiful country that we decided to be our country for the future, for our kids. So basically, our business is pet business that's growing considerably year after year. We have pet shops that are doing great, both combining service and supplies. And our manufacturing facility where we bag treats and other products is also doing great. So we are very happy to be here, and we would love to learn from you guys whatever we can get. So that's basically our story. So our 5 kids, beautiful wife, and a lovely dog. So
Just 5?
5, just 5? Just
Yeah,
5.
he won. He won
You know
because
that-
I have 4. I have 4 kids.
I don't like to lose Siberia.
I am Rubens' partner. I came 1 year after him. Found him. He was my client when I am a former Accenture partner, and he was my client there in Brazil. And by chance, I moved for 50 meters of his house without knowing. Yeah, this world has 8 people only. So my business is his business. I have half of the business with him. And I have to keep the consulting side. I created a company here, and my projects are to bring Brazilian companies to US, because like me, several people that have the money, the willingness to come, but don't know what to do. So we are helping them to come here. I came as he did, in a student visa of my wife in Valencia, in the English as second language program here. And I am investing as well in building a school for kids with special needs, because I have a son with special needs, and this is a way to give back to the society what I'm getting to my son. So,
Now we have green card.
yeah, we are.
Green card, all right. Well, good. Thank you.
Well, I'm Bernie, with RSD and Associates. I came from a scary place too in '72. I came from New York City. I don't know about Brazil, but you had the World Cup and the Olympics, a good place to be. But all we really do is internet marketing anymore. I mean, I have developers and IT guys, blah, 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 but everybody wants to be on the front page of Google, but nobody really knows how the algorithm works. It's a lot of work. That's what I do.
All right. Thank you, Bernie.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Success Ekoyong. I am the student government president for Valencia East Campus. I must say I'm very excited to be here in your midst, and I must say thank you for the privilege to be here with you. I currently serve with Andrew Potter over there. He's our vice president, and we represent about 28,000 students on our campus. So for us, representing students and being in a setting like this is of extreme importance to us. Part of what we're trying to do for our students is, from what we've heard, we've heard a growing concern. Students want to get their business started. Some of them who are running their businesses are looking for people who could mentor them, who could show them how to do these things. And so we've come up with something called Valencia Student Entrepreneurship Academy, which we will be running from January. We'll discuss that with top faculty from the business department. And it's just a simple forum where the students would get to meet successful business people and learn from them, allow them to share their business experiences, and in that space they're able to build networks and partnership and opportunities to grow. Another one is the leadership conversation. The leadership conversation was an idea we thought about, that we want to raise leaders who would solve global problems, who would take on courses, and who would be socially responsible. And we've been hearing students say things like that. Our thought is that we'll be able to create forums where people who have achieved so much in those fields will come sit down with this group of students, share their success stories from when they were in college to where they are. and their failures and their successes, and within that space, students will be able to learn and ask questions and build mentorship and see how to foster growth for themselves to where they need to be. I know early this year I had a privilege to be at Harvard University, because that's where I'm going to be somewhere, sometime later in the future for my master's. And I attended this conference called the Harvard Social Enterprise Conference. It was very, very intense. It was a great experience. Next year, I want to take a lot of our students who will be willing to go to that same conference, to go have that mind-blowing experiences too. And my thought is that we'll have businesses and organizations who would like to be part of sponsoring students to go for that conference, to help them have that broader view of life, engage with people from around the world, and come back to Florida and be of great, impact here. So, as a student body president, these are some of the things on my mind, and these are the things that have brought me here. If you want to know more about this, I would be more than glad to share them with you. And seriously, we need people like you to come around and help us to bridge that gap of just having passion without much of knowledge and experience to get to where we want to get to. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And your first name is Success?
Success.
Anybody have any doubts? That I think you'll live up to that name. Thank you. Rick?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Rick Dalrymple. I'm the CEO of RJD Risk Management. We help middle market companies who are frustrated, let's say, with claims and lawsuits that impede their growth. Things like employee turnover, which we'll be talking about today. Also, the Senior Vice President for Insurance Office of America. We've got about 50 offices around the nation, opened up an office in London a couple of years ago. On a personal note, we had 2 of my adult kids finally get married, which we're glad to have happen. If you see me in public, you don't pay for it, you'll understand why. And another good note, I just found out my daughter-in-law will hopefully have a healthy, happy grandson next April, so we're looking forward to that.
Very cool. Thank you, Rick. Ken?
My name is Ken Cooper. I have a company called Capstone Commercial, and I specialize in mergers and acquisitions and commercial real estate. I target the lower middle market. Those are those companies that would sell somewhere between 3 and 20 million. I also am a certified valuation analyst, so I do certified business valuations. I'm also a certified general real estate appraiser, so I do commercial real estate appraisals as well. My company's been around since 2001, and I'm one of the sponsors for the CEO Leadership Forum here, and I'm glad to be here, and look forward to talking to each one of you.
Jason?
Jason Wheel, and CEO of Expertus Laboratories. We're a clinical lab. We deal in high-end toxicology and thyroid testing. Cover physicians, hospitals, and treatment centers.
Thank you.
Mac McLaughlin, FX Design Group. We design and build scenery for television, news stations primarily, also networks, cable, sports, entertainment. And we've been here to celebrate our 30th year this year.
Congratulations.
I'm Selby Sullivan with General Scenery, and we do the live end of his business. We do stages mostly for large business meetings, some commercials, TV, theater, and in different incarnations. Been here since about '94.
My name is Lynn Griffiths. I'm a certified financial planner and have an independent investment office that's affiliated with Raymond James.
Hi, I'm Gary Cohen with End Perspective. We do CFO and strategic consulting. And I guess along with Doug and Glenn and Chris and a couple others, we had formed a networking group of business people in different fields that have been in the Orlando area for like 20 or 30 years, and it sort of grew into the genesis along with Jeff Gallo's leadership and insight into the CEO Leadership Forum. So we do interim and project and part-time CFO work, help with strategic planning and SWOT analysis and cash flow, and
a lot of things that growing businesses need and that maybe they can't afford a full-time CFO to help with. So that's, those are the types of things that we do. Both of my daughters, who are 30 and 32, got their 2-year degree here in Valencia. And then they got their 4-year degree at UCF, and they're both school teachers. Very proud of them.
That's great.
My name is Tom Allen with Concrete Erectors. We are in the commercial construction business, primarily high-rise construction. Did the Orange County Courthouse downtown, everything you see on the outside. I am a native, born and brought up here in Orlando. I have 2 sons, one 34, one 33, both involved in the business. We cover nationwide into the islands, been to Barbados, been to San Juan, and right now employ about 75 people.
Go to Puerto Rico soon? They probably need some rebuilding.
Yeah, we were down there, actually did the new shopping center, the large mall down there. It was the last time. I don't know how much that's left. Those people are hurting down there. They need some help.
Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Andrew Porter. Didn't go to college right away. Actually, I went into the military first. Took 8 years to kind of figure out what I wanted to do in life, and I'm very glad I did it. When I came back, I realized that Valencia is a hidden gem, and being here is a great opportunity for so many students. And I realized that the highest calling that I have is to make sure that other people realize that opportunities are there. But unless you take those opportunities, it's as if they don't exist. So right now, I'm studying my general AA. I'm going to go to political science degree from UCF, and then a career in politics, so wish me luck. But, you know, I think we can do a little bit better, and that's what I plan to do. After my 4-year, I'm going to get a law degree. I'm looking at business law for right now. And personally, I'm creating a company called Value Leadership. It's not patented yet, so please. Right. But it's helping students to learn the sort of soft skills that help you to be successful. And it's more than just what you learn in the classroom. It's like how to deal with teams, how to lead effectively, how to communicate with people. So all the sort of skills that I found to be successful in my life, I want to help students to learn that. So I'm creating a company now to actually do that. And so a fresh young entrepreneur, and I'm sure I can learn a lot from you guys, so I look forward to it. Thanks.
Thank you, Andrew here. And Paul, we're going to be hearing from you, but if you, he's going to be one of our speakers, but if you want to.
Good morning. My name is Paul Castaneda. I'm with Sandler Training with offices here in Altamont. And I work with CEOs of companies who are interested in maximizing the potential of their customers, both internal and external. And since we're at Valencia and plugging all things Valencia, I'm also directing a production of Evita that opens tomorrow at East Campus at the Performing Arts Center, featuring a wonderful cast of over 20 actors, mainly from Valencia, multicultural cast, in a 400+ seat theater that's one of the best ones that many of you may have never been to, but is right up there with any theater you can sit in Orlando. So, and the ticket prices are ridiculously low. As a producer of theater in town, as an application, they don't charge enough. It's $15 a ticket, but if you buy an 8-pack, they sell it for $60. So you get a ticket for $7.50 to see a full musical, a full production. So if you're not doing anything this weekend or next, come see Evita.
Great. Thank you, Paul.
Ryan Fatigatti, I own ARX Payments. We're a merchant service company, helping merchants with their acceptance of credit cards and ACH. Also a sponsor, I'm very happy to be here. I can't sing and dance or act like Paul, but my daughter has a lead role at Boone High School starting this weekend. I'm very proud of her, and I have 2 daughters at Boone actually. And I'm very happy to be here with the group and look forward to meeting all you guys. And thank you for your service in the military.
Thank you, Brian. Paul?
Good morning. I'm Paul Dietrich. I'm the managing shareholder of Swan, Hadley, Stone, Dietrich and Spears. We're a full-service, 15-lawyer law firm in downtown Park. We do mainly commercial work. We don't do divorces, we don't do personal injury, you won't see my face on a bus, or a billboard.
Thank goodness.
Oh, wait.
I said that
But we do, I primarily do corporate work and commercial transactions, do residential work as well, development work, landlord tenants. We also have about, I'd say 4 or 5 litigators that are very adept at helping people through shareholder disputes, trademark work, basically commercial litigation. My other job is I'm the chair of the Board of Trustees at Trinity Prep, and which I attended. I was born and raised in Sanford, so I'm also a local, a native. And I've got, my wife's a teacher at Valencia on the East Campus, teaches business law, met her in law school. And I've got 4 kids, 1 in college, 3 in high school, and I have very little free time. So I'm happy to be here and meet all of you.
And I'm Tina Kraft. I work at Fringe Benefit Plans with Doug. We are business advisors, helping employers recruit and retain employees, focus on employee benefits. I too am an Orlando native, and we are raising our twin boys right here in Orlando.
Thank you, Tina. Chris,
Hi again, I'm Chris Gucci. I mentioned earlier I'm a senior vice president with Center State Bank. And Center State, if you haven't heard of them, you're probably going to start hearing about them a lot more here in Central Florida. Through a couple of recent acquisitions, we've actually become now the largest community bank headquartered in the state of Florida. Got branches as far south as the Keys, and as we go up to Jacksonville, across to Marion County over by Ocala, and then actually we just started a little bit of a stronghold in Georgia, so we're in Atlanta and Macon looking to grow those markets as well. Great to be here today with the group, and it's great to be a part of the CEO forums.
Thank you, Chris. David?
David Lotrod, tax partner with Graham Fender. We focus for a full-service CPA firm with tax, accounting, and audit assurance needs. We're about 34 people strong. So we're growing and getting new clients and helping clients with their tax compliance and accounting needs from various industries. I moved down here in 2001 from Nebraska. Actually my wife's birthday today, so happy birthday to her. She reminded me as I forgot when I walked out the door, saying it's my birthday, and tell me happy birthday. So, but she forgot her anniversary, so I'm good on that one. So we're good. And then I got 2 kids that are 6 and 9. Boy, girls older, boys younger.
All right. Thank you, David. Bob and Craig, you guys are going to, you want to say something now? Or okay, because you guys, they're going to be. True, that's true. We can only take so much. No, just. Okay. All right, well, thank you guys very much. And again, very excited everybody's here. We really want to keep this as an open forum. We have a lot of different businesses and different expertise here. So if you have questions as we go, please ask them. I'll be asking questions, our presenters asking questions. So we're really hoping for some participation from everybody. We had a smart group of folks here, and so whatever you have to say, I think could help other businesses. Even though they're different businesses, you have a lot of things in common in regards to wanting to grow, and the topic today for retention and attracting employees. So as mentioned earlier, I'm Doug Foreman, and you won't see my face on a bus either. And I probably need to update that. I had a few grayer hairs back when I took this photo. But Fringe Benefit Plans, our company's been around since 1969, so we're coming up on our 50th anniversary, which is kind of exciting. Now you might look at me and say, gosh, how is that even possible? But the business was actually started by my father, and I've taken it over from him. And we work with about 120 clients throughout Central Florida. Whole goal, as Tina mentioned, is helping with recruiting and retention in regards to their employee base. So let's talk about what's happened in the past 10 years. Most of you, sounds like you've been in business for at least 10 years, and so you might recognize this chart and what happened. The event that happened back in how wonderful things were, and unemployment was so low back in 07, 08, and then some of you might have experienced the downturn, and usually what happens in a downturn, the first thing companies do is they have to right size and let employees go. We experienced in our field of expertise, we saw a lot of companies dropping benefits because they're looking to save money in any way possible. And so this little graph, high unemployment, then we see the trickle down all the way to 2016, and the market is getting tighter. And so the question I have for you is, has anybody experienced this? Is this kind of the graph you might have experienced? I see a shaking head over here in the construction world, so probably one of the ones that got hit the hardest would be the construction world. But anybody else in your business see that kind of a trend? Yeah, so it's just to update that slide to more current numbers. You'll see first quarter 5%, second quarter August was 4% unemployment. I heard a number that in September was 3.9. I don't know if that's an official number yet, but again, still trending to a tighter and tighter market. So is it anybody here currently, do you have openings that you're looking for somebody? You're looking for folks in your business? Anybody actively? Construction? Lawyers? I thought we had, I heard we had plenty.
There's always room for good ones. Plenty of lawyers, good ones.
Oh, well, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. And for you guys, I guess you're relatively newer in Central Florida with your business. So for us, we work with a lot of construction and manufacturing. And so biggest thing we're hearing is talent. How are we going to be able to get good talent to help grow our business? And it's getting harder and harder. And we're seeing, sadly, we're seeing a lot of, lack of a better word, poaching, where you grab somebody from a competitor, you think they're going to work wonderfully, and hopefully it does, but a lot of times then another competitor comes in and takes that star employee right away from you. So tighter and tighter markets. So our goal here today is try to find ways that you can help to recruit and retain that top talent. Okay, so let's see. In regards to trying to find your top talent, what ways, does anybody have any ways that they are currently, that they feel is working for them in regards to construction business or your more retail? Do you have anything that is working for you that in regards to helping in recruiting?
Social media.
Social media?
Definitely.
Okay.
And networking with current employees, if you have a good environment, they'll probably recommend their friends, and then that's basically what it's going on with us.
Okay. So that's LinkedIn or Facebook and
yes. So some specific websites that people use to hire. There are, like, for instance, groomers are very important in our business, and there is a specific social media group of groomers that you put there. Oh, have an opportunity here. If your company sees as a nice company that pays a good salary, or so.
Yeah, we did a move. They were usually contractors. We took a decision last year, and we hire everybody as employees. This increased our retention. This was good. They felt more part of the company. Yeah.
And Jason, you're kind of, for you, you're probably hiring more technical people, technicians, people who are running.
Yeah, and it's a limited talent pool here in Central Florida for people that can do that kind of thing. So
we found some success by rewarding our people internally with reward systems of those who come on board and are productive for our company. We will provide incentives, financial incentives. Obviously, people that work together have friends, and we go through that process. It's worked for us through the years.
Okay, that's good. Good. So any other ideas on things that are working? Anybody, what we see is the top four in regards to recruiting and retention, how to attract the best and brightest. Compensation. Certainly, if you pay more, you think you'd be able to get more employees to come work for you. Employee benefit programs, ways that you can offer benefits to help with the recruiting and retention. Hire screening best practices, and that's what Rick is going to really talk about later on, is good practices in regards to hiring the right employee, and culture. And that's really what Bob is going to be speaking on with his program, is how to build a great culture for your company. So that's how we're seeing in regards to the top areas, top 4. So let's touch on compensation. Right now, studies show that, guess what? 2017 compensation is at an all-time high. That's probably not really hard to believe because we had that dip and people were cutting. Now you're trying to bring them back, and so compensations are going up. Great way to say, hey, I'll just pay more, but again, there's always that possibility of that competitor who can come in and take that employee right away from you in regards to pay them more. Who's going to pay a little bit higher? Kind of like I was talking with Selby about the basketball. A player comes to Orlando Magic, but then Atlanta's going to pay him more. Boom, that player's gone. So that can happen very quickly, especially with top talent. There's a lot of recruiters. I don't think we don't have any recruiters in. You're not really in recruiting, Paul.
In sales recruiting, we can provide some help, and beyond that, we can refer to some sources that we use as well.
Yeah, but recruiting is a big business right now. I get calls, I'm sure several of you get calls from recruiters saying, hey, we got this great opportunity. So, and hiring a recruiter costs money as well for the company that is trying to recruit those employees in.
About that.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to hear from the group about recruiters versus standard social media, things like LinkedIn, things like, I think Monster is another one. Where do you find that you need a recruiter, someone specific for that, based on just, we have someone who browses the social media?
I can probably answer that a little bit, because I've dealt with recruiters over the years. A lot of times recruiters who have been in Central Florida for many, many years, and I'm in the accounting world, they've placed so many candidates. Somebody over the last 15 years has placed 100 or 150, 200 candidates all around Central Florida. When new positions open up, they have a pool that's not actively looking for positions. So they still keep relationships with these people they place. They know what they're doing, what companies they're with, and what might be a step up for them. So when they hear about other positions, they can contact these people who aren't actively looking, who might be a great fit for your company. So that's one way that it helps.
Okay.
And recruiting should be a process, not an event, which most companies treat it as. And in my business in technology, like right now, all of a sudden I have a certain technology to deal with. I need a very esoteric person. So I could spend a lot of time where HR could find me them, or I could pay a recruiter, because I don't need them long term. So they definitely have a major role in technology.
We've clearly experienced tag teaming on what Bernie said, is that the idea of hiring is a process, not a 2-hour interview, because if you're not having breakfast, lunch, dinner with these folks at different times, 3 or 4 different, you get a chance to know their personality on and off the field, so to speak. And there should be multiple interview process, multiple people involved in the interviewing process for it to be successful. In our way of thinking, it's working, again, works for us.
One issue we've had in our field is that because the candidate pool is so tight that the recruiters are more aggressive in their pricing, meaning they're charging more. And it's tough. It can be a real barrier for some people. It's when I speak with people who are going to go with a recruiter, I suggest that they be very careful about understanding how that recruiter is being compensated. Because if a recruiter presents an expensive package to a potential employer, that employer will go elsewhere. And you have to it's a balancing act. You've got to essentially say, how do I get myself into the best possible situations? But how do I also not price myself out of the market because I've aligned myself with a really pricey recruiter? And so you've got some homework.
Yeah, one other thing too is I just last year finished a year-long project for a construction company, iReach. I needed 6 programmers. You know how long it would have taken me to get them
through the process where a local company is able to get the right people at the right price for that year. And a lot of people in technology, I can only speak for, want to work that way. They don't want a full-time job. They want a year project and move on to something else, especially millennials.
Right.
We can talk about that.
One thing I'll add is that some recruiters will stand behind their recruits, and they will say,
Yeah.
if these people don't work out over the course of the first 90 days, then we will compensate you for the fee that you've been charged and help you place somebody, help replace that person. So there's a modest guarantee that goes along with the recruiting process, whereas if you hire someone off the street, social media, you don't get any of that sort of potential hedge.
Yeah, I know that.
What's a reasonable fee to pay as far as percentage of annual income?
Say again, the barrier to annual income. There were so many benefits. I mean, I do work for Maxim and some large recruiting firms, and the benefits are no tax, no employee benefits. They save so much money. It's not about the price per hour for the person.
So you're doing employee leasing more than using?
I don't. I mean, I do that for project work, but not with the core people.
So, I think you're saying you hire temporary employees through an agency, and then
Yes.
when you're done, you,
Yes.
but then
I
you
didn't
don't.
understand the
My
question.
question was more, if I'm looking for a full-time key personnel, what would I expect to pay, let's say, as a basis of their
I pay-
annual income?
Hiring CTO,
Or like
25%.
CFO.
So I paid the CFO for Hireach $110,000, but I had to pay a company here in town $27,500 for recruiting them. They did give me 60-day full money-back guarantee, and I did fire them on day 54. I didn't come here to talk, but they gave me the money back, but of course the pitch was, let us put another person in there. In the meantime, it's a process, not an event, so I know most of the IT guys in town, and we brought in someone else as a replacement.
So you're looking at 25% of annual income?
20 to 25%.
Is that pretty much
Normal.
industry standard?
The ones I work with vary from 15% all the way up to 33%, but usually I'm in the 20% is where I'm at. So.
Is that a one-time fee?
Yeah,
Is it
one-time
like
fee, yes.
over the first year?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very expensive.
Some will prorate it if it's temp to perm. So if you do decide to hire the person after like 90 days, whatever, they credit you what they've been marking him up. So they'll work with you. I don't know your construction, I think. I don't know.
Don't be afraid to ask and negotiate it.
Yeah, it's negotiable.
Good.
And get their numbers, find out what the results are, and find out what approach they take. Because just because you don't have a process, that doesn't necessarily guarantee they have a process either. So they may have that's what they do, so they do it regularly, but it doesn't necessarily mean they have a specific process. So make sure you understand what their success rates are and how they measure it and how they approach it.
And that's the one case where I ask for references. I never ask for references because what are you going to give me? People that don't like you?
Yeah.
But in that, and I ask them about the process, and David is 100% correct. The difference between agencies I found is everybody has the resume of the guy looking for a job. It's on every site and everybody's got it. It's going after what's called the passive candidates that are a perfect fit for you, but they're not being marketed because no one knows that they leave jobs. So it's about, some of these companies have great relationships with talent. And they work. They save you a lot of money in the house life.
Well, on the labor end, I know it saves a ton of time. It's hard for us to vet every resume that comes through, but, we can find people on Indeed, and we'll put out a very specific ad, say, we want an artistic scenic painter with 5 years experience, and we get resumes that said, responsibilities include take fries from freezer, put fries in fryer. I mean, and I'm not kidding. and then, you know, sometimes, you know, cook online.
That's true.
And I'm like, what does this have to do with painting? So just the time of having to weed through all that, and then when you do get a resume that looks good, you know, calling references, doing the background check, doing, you know, drug testing, whatever else, you know, they take that all off your hand, and if somebody gets through, again, it's guaranteed. You get rid of them, you don't have to pay unemployment, you don't have to, you know, argue with them about, you know, compensation or final payment.
Yeah, so this is fantastic, because this is what we're talking about, is the cost of recruiting. It's a high cost. And not only the compensation, but everything that you're mentioning. So we're going to hear more and more about this. This is awesome. You guys are a great group. Wow. So compensation. So, the next item on the list was employee benefit programs. So I list here kind of the core employee benefit programs that most companies are offering and help to recruiting and retention, and also paid time off and vacation and other items that we'll touch on in a little bit. I mentioned the recession. Early in the recession, these items that you see here were one of the first to be cut. A lot of people, when Obamacare was being rolled out, we had some of our clients said, we're dropping our health insurance, and we're going to give everybody a pay raise, and they can go buy their own health insurance. And I actually had a meeting yesterday with a company that dropped their health insurance years ago, and now they're talking about reinstating it. And he said, yeah, I gave everybody a $500 pay raise. I was like, oh, okay, well, you know, so $500 pay raise, and then, well, that increases your FICA, right, your Social Security? Oh, yeah, it does. So that's another 7% of the 500. Oh, and your workers' comp goes up. Oh, yeah, and all these other taxes. And he didn't really think about all those things. So his $500 raise was probably about a $580 raise per month. And in thin margins, those little percentages really add up. So we're having discussions with him about possibly bringing back. It's a tough discussion, because now he has to go back to his employees and say, hey, that $500 raise I gave you, it might have to dial that back a little bit as he's trying to introduce employee benefits. The reason I bring that up is benefits are a tax-efficient way to compensate your employees as part of their package, because the health insurance, everything you see listed there, it can be a deduction for the company, and if there's a cost share for the employee to participate, we can have that come out pre-tax. So it's pre-federal tax, pre-FICA tax, all those things. So tax efficiency is what we're talking about in helping reduce the tax liability for the corporation by offering these benefits. So of the benefits that are out there in the benefit world, which do you think drive employee satisfaction? Anybody have a thought, a guess? Medical insurance. Good answer. Yes, Mac.
First one up there, so I took it stat.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So survey done by Glassdoor, bingo. Survey says health insurance is the #1 for satisfaction. 401k retirement plan, #2. PTO, vacation, employee discounts, maternity, paternity leave. So those are the top ones that we're seeing that employees are appreciating the most in regards to their benefit programs. Health insurance, many of you guys probably offer health insurance to your employees, but there's a cost share. I mentioned that earlier, how much you pay as an employer, how much the employee pays. That's just one area we're seeing a lot of companies are starting to increase how much they're paying towards the health insurance aspect as part of that recruiting and retention tool. Again, instead of saying, all right, we're going to give you a pay raise or pay you more, guess what? In another way, it's a pay raise, because instead of $50 out of your paycheck, you're only going to have $25 coming out of your paycheck to participate in the plan. So just a easy way, relatively easy way to compensate them without increasing your tax liability.
A question on that.
Yes, sir.
So how companies say that they don't have a health insurance plan for employees, but they want to get to that point where they can offer it.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get to that point?
How does the employer get to that
How
point?
does the employer get to the point where they can offer it?
Well, there's a lot of times when it's offering a new plan to an employer, new employers offering benefits to their employees will do a survey, see what type of participation they're looking at to try to, it's kind of a process. You don't want to just spring a meeting on them. A lot of times we recommend surveys, education with them to see how many people will be participating, and then kind of discuss what the price point would be in regards to that employee's payroll deduction, get that information out before we do the final rollout. So we find that to be a successful way to roll out a benefit program if you're just starting one.
So then you're contracting with one of the already existing medical insurance companies?
Oh yes, and then yeah, you bring in a Florida Blue or United Healthcare or one of the big name insurance companies to offer the benefit. Okay. Employer responsibility. So in regards to understanding what type of programs would make the most sense for your employee base, we recommend just kind of, you get the blue collar and construction, more the lab tech, you're more retail, so we have a very broad employee base. And so each one is different, and there are different, there's different benchmarking that we do for each one of those industries on what we're seeing for your competitors. So white collar, probably it's recommended to pay a little bit more towards the benefit program versus a blue collar industry. We might pay a little bit less. So understand your employee base, and really you want to make sure you have the proper communication with those employees. Some groups of our clients, they like face-to-face with each employee. Some like to do a memo. There are ways that you can actually implement technology where you're communicating your benefits to the employees through a website that can be branded with your logo, so it looks and feels like it's your benefit program. So there's ways, even for smaller companies, that they can have a more robust communication and education for your employees, which can help with the recruiting if you're recruiting against a larger employer who might have a huge HR department. And for most of you, your HR department might be you, or you have a CFO or a controller who is your HR department. So there are ways that you can communicate to them, but you really got to understand what's best for your employee base. And of course, offer choice. That's a big recommendation in regards to when you're offering a benefit program, you want to have one that's a lower cost, but maybe not as rich, mid, and a higher benefit, so you can have benefits that would meet each need. Yes, sir?
Doug, I wanted to mention something. One of my clients is involved with asbestos abatement and lead abatement and demolition. So it's a lot of heavy labor. And over the years, he was trying to put together benefit plans to keep his employees. But most of them are going to be blue-collar workers. A lot of the stuff he does is on like Air Force bases and colleges, and NASA does a lot of work out there. So a lot of them have to be vetted. But what he decided a long time ago, that it was cheaper for him he has 72 employees, okay? It was cheaper for him to go into a leasing program for his employees, as opposed to try to manage them for human relations themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because, they could get lower workers' comp insurance than the competition was that he could provide for himself as a company.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a cost savings by doing employee leasing too. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, that is a solution, definitely. Thank you for that, Ken. It's definitely a solution that you can look at, and depending on the makeup of the group and certainly the industry, employee leasing, or PEO is the other term that you hear about, that is a solution. So thank you. All right, so talking about your generation. So right now in the workforce, there are up to 5 generations that can be working for your company. So question for you, can anybody name all 5? Millennial, good answer. From a millennial, so we got a millennial? Baby boom. X, Y.
Gen X, Gen Y.
So of those, what do you think is the top 3? Top 3 that you'll see in the workforce right now? Millennials, boomers. Let's see what the survey says. Yeah, so we got your millennials, your Gen X, your baby boomers. Those are the top 3. So of those, you'll see here that, of course, another survey done by LinkedIn. which generation puts the most importance on workplace benefits? And I found this interesting because I've asked other groups, which group? I mean, I'd asked this question before the slide came up. Which group do you think would have been put the most weight on? Baby boomers. Yeah, exactly. Guess what? It's the millennials. And really, I think things like paid time off and flexibility, flex hours, those are also considered employee benefits. And so I really think that this group puts a lot of weight on that type of a benefit. I see you, he's shaking his head, so maybe so.
So I've heard a lot of, like, it's very hard to keep millennials happy because we look for things like impact.
Impact?
Yeah, exactly, right, that's the response. Do you want to have an impact? Oh, okay. Because we hear this terms a lot, it's our big buzzwords, we want to have a positive impact. I mean, I've said it a million times, but it's so hard to define that. So I was surprised to see that.
Yeah, I think those are more quality of life benefits than they are hardcore insurance and things. It's more like time off, or are we donating time to a charity, that kind of stuff.
It's the entitlement mentality. They want everything provided to them right now.
A refrigerator with beer.
They don't earn it, they just want it.
But that's something you need to be aware of, is that those type of benefits, I think, are going to be for this put more weight on it for this next generation versus
I guess the question is, like, how do you connect with the millennials who are like, hey, I come into this company because I want to do something good for the world kind of thing. How do you keep them happy with saying we can offer you health insurance?
Well, yeah, it's got to be more than that. That's what you're exactly right. There has to be more than just offering health insurance.
I think the other thing you have to do with them is know that they're not going to stay long.
Yeah,
they're just not. You're going to spend all that money on training and recruiting and invest in them, knowing, I mean, when I interview guys, okay, what's your timeline to stay here at the company? And most of them won't commit to more than 3 or 5 years at that time. They're not thinking about this is my lifetime. This is.
Don't you think that's a consequence of weak cultures? Because I think culture is fundamental. Because if you have someone that working for you, you're paying well. If you have a culture, they are proud of working for you. I think that's sometimes the main reason.
If you have someone who commits to stay with you for 3 to 5 years, and you don't show them anything in those 3 to 5 years,
that doesn't matter.
It does matter.
Does not. I had an employee leave, one of my best employees, a total millennial, raises, kumbaya moments, all those things. He left to go follow his muse and play music and do art, and there was no stopping it. I could have given him $1 million. It wouldn't have stopped him because that's what he wanted to do. It had nothing to do with how good his job was or anything.
And on an individual basis, that may happen.
Yeah.
But for most people coming in your door, if you give them a reason where their values will line up to the values of the company, and there's a match, you'll have a much higher chance of understanding.
True, but I disagree. It's just like anything else. He is 100% correct. I mean, I just read an intensive study where 4.2 jobs in the first 10 years. That's crazy talk. The baby boomers are 1.4. We had 1 job for 10 years. I've only had 3 jobs in my life. And they're taking the jobs as a stop on their resume. I'm not trying to put down millennials, believe me, I have grandkids. But it's like, in their mind, they're already moving on. Okay?
And it may not be to a better job, it may be to a different job, because I want to try this for a while, I want to try that for a while. I mean, I might work for them because I like animals, I'll work for them for a while. Oh, you guys do kind of Broadway stuff, that's kind of cool, we'll do that for a while. Oh, you do construction, you might try that for a while. They're not going to lock down like we did, or like the generation ahead of us. They're not going to lock down for 20 or 30 years, no matter how well you treat them.
I think if you charted career length, it would be the inverse of that chart. So maybe, I think if you charted the career length, it would be the opposite of this chart. Where the boomers were in it for 30 years, got their retirement. The Gen Xers had a relatively, 8, 10 year run. And millennials are a year, maybe 3.
Yeah.
Well, as a general comment, I guess millennials, they get a rap for this, but if we look at this from a holistic standpoint, I saw something a gentleman had in his picture on his wall. And I took a picture of it. It said, employees stay when they are well paid, mentored, challenged, promoted, involved, appreciated, valued, on a mission, empowered, and trusted. I thought that was a pretty cool slide to have on his wall, because he values keeping his people. And this is obviously a white paintbrush to take care of all your people, but how we interact with each of those generations is going to be obviously ratcheted a little bit differently.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. So I'm going to move on to talk about employer trends. So what are we seeing in regards to, in the true employee benefit realm, in regards to employer trends? In regards to health insurance programs, you see where it says level funding medical programs. We're seeing a lot, especially since Obamacare has rolled out the past couple of years. We're seeing more and more companies that are looking at doing a level funded health insurance plan, which is really, it's kind of a partially self-insured program. But by doing that, if you have the right demographic of employees, which would probably be more of a male-centric and relatively younger group, this type of program can be a significant savings over a traditional employee or a fully insured health insurance benefit. So it might be something that you look at, talk to your broker about that to see if it makes sense for your organization. Telemedicine. Telemedicine is also another term for that is virtual medicine, or virtual. Some people call it teledoc. You may have heard of in the past Ask a Nurse type programs, but this is Ask a Nurse on steroids, and huge trend we're seeing where you actually have access to a physician 24/7, and all you do is you have an app on your phone or go to your computer. You reach out to the organization. 10, 15 minutes later, you get a call back from a physician. You can FaceTime or Skype with them, so you can show them the ailment. You know, look at this. But people who have used it, it's a great program for them in regards to ease of access to care without having to go to an emergency room or go to a critical clinic. Same-day clinic, center care, et cetera. And in some cases, it could be your kid that's sick in the middle of the night. You have access, and so you get a call back from a pediatrician. Never have to leave the house, never have to leave the work. And millennials are jumping into this in droves because they're all used to having access to anything on their device. So it's great for presenteeism and absenteeism, because if somebody is sick or you have a sick child, you're going to be leaving work. So but offering a telemedicine to your employees, it's a way for them to stay present. And probably the biggest issue we've had with the telemedicine is getting that communicated out to the employees. Because what happens is you do, let's say you're offering health insurance, you might mention that at the open enrollment, but somebody gets sick 3-6 months later, they just go to their old pig trails, which is, oh, I got to go to the ER, got to go to the urgent care. And so the telemedicine takes constant reminding of your employees. You have to treat them like children a little bit. Does that sound familiar at all? Selby's frowning. Yeah. So you're constantly reminding them about this benefit. And believe it or not, this telemedicine benefit, many of the health plans that you may already have in place for your employees, it's included, but it's very often overlooked.
So is that a monthly charge or is it per incident?
It depends on for access.
Yeah.
Some of them it's no charge. It's included, embedded with the health benefit. But there might be a copay for access, similar to if you went to see your office. $25 copay, but it's $25 access to have access to the doctor, and then he can call in your prescription, and you drive down to CVS and get it. So great. If you have that already, we recommend doing employee testimonials, because you have one employee who it works well for them and it spreads like wildfire through your company. That's on a positive way. I know that happens a lot of time negatively. This might be a positive peer pressure to get it communicated to your employees. Gap plans, the trend in health insurance has been higher and higher deductibles, but there are plans that you can put in place on a voluntary basis that help meet those high deductible gaps for employees that might be higher utilizers. The executive level benefits, a lot of times you don't like to hear the word discrimination. And in health insurance, in the health insurance world, that discrimination is a bad word, because you have to treat everybody the same in regards to the benefits you're offering your employees. But there are executive level benefits that can actually be discriminatory, where you have a little bit richer benefit for those key folks that you're looking to recruit and retain. Help keep your corporate intelligence, if you will, with the company. Financial wellness, stress, but the biggest stressor in your employees' lives is typically financial. So there are ways that you can have your employees access to a counselor to help them with their finances and give them guidance into budgeting and help them get on track with their finances. Employee assistant programs, another similar to telemedicine, employee assistant programs. A lot of you may already have an EAP, is the acronym that you're offering to your employees, but a lot of times it's overlooked and not very well communicated. But it's a great, great benefit where your employees can have access to a counselor, whether for marital, if they have law issues, financial issues, and doesn't hit your health insurance benefit, and it's completely confidential. But again, it has to be communicated to your employees on a regular basis. So those are some of the employer trends, other innovative trends that we're seeing. And these probably are going to be more towards your millennial crowd and your new hires, is tuition reimbursement. It is actually possible for an employer to give tuition reimbursement, and there's a maximum, government has a maximum dollar amount that you can. So student loan reimbursement, tuition reimbursement kind of fall in that same category. But tuition reimbursement, that might be a current executive that you have in place that they're looking to further their education, and you can say, all right, well, I'll help you out over a number of years to help pay for their education. Hopefully they stick around and appreciate what you've done for them. The student loan reimbursement, that might be more of a recruiting a new hire, student just coming out, and then again, you can have that a reimbursement, set it over a number of years so that, again, you're not just reimbursing them all in the first year and then they're gone, but it's finding ways to help make it stickier, that they'll stay with the company and retain them over a long period of time. I already touched on the financial counseling. Near and dear to Marco's heart, pet insurance, right? At Wolf Bakery, do you guys offer pet insurance?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay.
But there are some competitors, they have the insurance plan for pets.
Yeah.
So you pay every month and...
Yeah, and they can be set up through employers now as a payroll deduction to offer that to your employees.
What we are doing is, because we are very small, is a food program for their dogs. So the employees, in their view, they count as the price, and for us is the cost. So this spread.
So a little discount for them to.
Yeah.
They pay cost.
They pay cost, and then they see their gain.
Yeah, yeah. That's a nice benefit.
Yeah.
Jason, you can give free lab results to your employees. No, it's hard for everybody to do that, but that's a good one. So along with pet insurance, you've heard of maternity. Maternity is when a woman has a child. She can take 4 to 6 weeks. A touch on that, a big trend in maternity. Company out of California, and most of the progressive stuff seems to come out of California in regards to employee trends, but a company called Veritas out of California, they are now offering 5 months of maternity leave. So when have a child after birth, they're out for 5 months. Does that seem? Anyway, that's the trend. Veritas, I think they have some offices here in Central Florida, so you're probably not going to be competing too much against them, but that's a trend that we're seeing.
Yeah, what we
the
see.
nursing, the demand for nurses, I guess, right? Probably.
What's that?
More for their nurses, I would imagine.
Maternity is for the women, paternity is for the men, and we're seeing that as a benefit as well, where the dad can take time off. We haven't seen that as 5 months for the dad, but I think it's 2 or 3 weeks as a benefit to offer. Retroactive. We go back 18 years.
I want to take 10 months off.
As a benefit makes sense, but have to be careful. For example, in Brazil, by law, it's 5 months.
Oh, it is 5 months. Okay.
Yeah, but 4 months, and they add the vacation for one month. But this caused another side problem. Several people, several companies stopped to hire girls in the maternity age.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
to run the risk of paying for, and you cannot fire.
Yeah.
If you fire, you have to pay the 5 months
I can see why you left Brazil. It's making sense. No.
But for dads, it's 1 week.
1 week, yeah. I feel discriminated against.
That's discrimination, right?
That is discrimination. So another big trend is paternity. We talked about maternity, paternity, paternity or maternity. So actually, as people are waiting longer to get married, waiting longer to have kids. Their pets become their family. So some companies are offering. You have a new puppy, animal. You take time off, take care of the dog. So just beware. Beware. All right, so that's what we have in regards to some innovative trends. Earlier, we talked about the cost of an employee. We talked about the recruiting. That's the number 2 biggest number. You heard that earlier. The benefits, taxes, the learning curve. So you can see this pie chart. Typically, the base salary is less than half of the overall cost of that employee when you add everything in regards to recruiting, et cetera. So overall, the goal is employee retention. Without it, you're going to have lowered productivity, overworked staff, absenteeism, presenteeism, loss of that intelligence, and workers' comp risk. Rick will be discussing on that in the next session, or next segment. So that is our ultimate goal, to help lower or alleviate these presenteeism is you are in the office, but you have lack of focus because you're worried about the sick child or you're worried about your finances. So you're on the clock, but you're not engaged.
Or your fantasy football team.
Your fantasy football team, yeah. March Madness has a lot of presenteeism because people are worried about their bracket. All right, so average turnover. So depending on your industry, the construction's probably a higher turnover versus others, white collar utilities, but this gives you an idea of average turnover by industry. So you have to take that into consideration. You might have high expectations, but really your industry might be one of those that's just the way it is. If you have seasonal employees, you're going to have a much higher. Retail, you're going to have higher turnover typically. Back to the cost. This is a study by SHRM. This is Society of Human Resource Management. Time to fill, average 42 days is what they're saying on average to fill an open position. Cost $4,100. Again, that's an average, but if you're hiring 100,000, I heard somebody say 120,000. It's going to cost more to recruit a $120,000 person versus a $30,000 employee. So if you wanted to calculate, this is in your packets, but it gives you an idea of how you can calculate what your actual turnover rate is for your organization. Big, how much does turnover impact to your budget? Big. We talked about all those numbers, but a bad hire can have a major impact on your company's bottom line. When Bob talks, he's going to talk about ways that you can help to find out if you have the right hire coming in. Rick's going to talk about some calculations and solutions in regards to mitigating that risk and cost. So homework for you, I think, would be take a look at your employee base. The millennials, baby boomers, et cetera, that you see in your organization. Determine what best motivates them. What we've also find is that if you are going to go down the road of offering employee benefits for helping of the recruiting, retention, rewarding, again, it's tax favored way that you can offer benefits to them. That you actually have a third party person, organization who comes in and assist with that. A lot of times we were talking earlier about people who have their kids and I joked earlier about having employees as kind of like children. And a lot of times when mom and dad tell their children, hey, it's great here. This is a great place to work. It kind of goes in one ear and out the other. Does that sound familiar? But if they have an outside person who comes in and tells them, you know what, you guys have a great program here, you guys have great benefits, you guys, this is a great place to work, it actually resonates a little bit better. So having a third party outside of your organization coming in and telling your employees how great it is can actually go a lot farther. So that's one of the things we do is we try to present ourselves as an outsourced chief experience officer in regards to helping employees understand their benefits, educate them, so that employers are getting the best bang for their buck in regards to what they might be offering. So it talks about our standard scope of services that we would offer and how we serve employers as well as serving the employees with the consumer education, all those things, the telemedicine. You have to have systems set up. And it's really, really hard, especially, I mentioned earlier, smaller companies, you have the owner. And a lot of what I'm talking about here, they think, oh, it's just cost, it's a pain in the butt, it's a hassle. Having somebody else that comes in and steps in to help you with that, to help your HR department, which HR department might be one of the hats you wear, or again, your CFO. With a smaller organization, you don't have a department of 1, 2, or 3 that helps with this human resource and human capital. Any other questions or discussions that, yes, sir?
The word corporate culture, I've heard it oftentimes, but I want to know from your perspective what that is, corporate culture, what it is, and why is it so important?
The corporate culture is something what the organization stands for, and how you really treat your employees. You've heard people talk. You want to treat your employees as if they are your customer. So it's building a culture, depending on your industry, that is going to help them to feel more part of the organization. And that's big, especially big with millennials. Makes them a little stickier. Mac, for the most part, is am I feeling wanted and needed in this organization? And I like the couple analogy, and I did the parent-child analogy, but now I'm going to do if you're married. So who in here is married, or has been married at some point? So on your wedding day, you told your spouse what? I love you. I'm going to love you forever. And what happens if you never said another word about that 20 years later? Even a year later, things don't work out so well. So again, this employee-employer-employee relationship is, I think you have to, lack of a better word, you have to say I love you. And that's in the culture of that company.
Yeah, this is, depending on the industry, is much more important. For example, in the consulting business, actually, your employee should have the chance to earn more outside of your company. For example, if you hire my company to serve you, you can to pay more than I pay for my employee to do the same thing. So when you come, I was responsible for the outsourcing business in the technology area there in South America. And several times we took over, and then the culture is the big difference. So first, you have to walk the talk. Not only say, I love you, and never more love. So this is important. Recognition. And, it's okay, it's not money only. So the money will get more and more and more importance as the culture gets less and less and less attention. This is the combination of this, in my view.
Yeah, thank you for that.
We're seeing a lot of companies create and publish mission statements. And it's common in the educational world, it's common in the charitable world, it's not so common in the corporate world. But the idea is to kind of create some clarity for the employees so that if ever they have any kind of an issue about a decision or a path, then they can kind of have some level of guidance from the mission statement that says that's the tiebreaker. Is my decision taking me farther away from that mission, or is my decision taking me closer to that mission? And I think it helps for employees to have communication and clarity from leadership about, well, what does this company stand for? What are our goals? Who do we hope to be? What are our aspirations? And to get buy-in from the employees. If you work here, then you are adopting this mission, and it's important for you to get to understand that.
I agree 100%, but we're not going to discuss mission statements because I had to actually study them, but for two large companies, Kennedy Space Center and Florida Hospital, designing the websites was going south until the bigwig said, what is our mission statement? And then all of a sudden it was real clear. So this, we're going the wrong way down a rabbit hole. And so many people have no mission statement or crappy mission statements, in my opinion. It gives clarity to the culture. It all starts there. You've got to live it.
Right. I think Ricky mentioned somebody had put something on the wall.
Yes.
It wasn't really a mission statement, but it's more of
Just a sign of what,
this is the culture of the company kind of thing.
it was his way of a reminder of what needs to be in place to keep your people happy.
It's not money, believe it or not.
Yeah, it's not.
I just said the girl, great job, that's worked for me for 7 years, that's what she wants to hear. And it was a great job. I love you.
And don't forget your wife's birthday. That's like how
I forgot to tell her.
Yes, success.
I mean, to add to that, I feel in summary is what people feel when you come around you or when you spend time around the organization. What's that feeling? What do they interpret from the space around you? I would say is the culture of that organization. So if I come around the place, for instance, student development office in Valencia, if I feel care, if I feel supported, if I feel a sense of responsiveness from them to whatever complaints I have or need I have, then I would say that's their culture. So which many times people want to identify with if they're able to, capture that feeling and interpret it properly. So that's what I think that is.
It's not just your employees, it's everybody.
Everybody.
Clients.
You got to tell them you love them too.
I remember a guy saying, an internet guy.
And your mission as CEOs is the most important. Every organization is the reflex of the first executive. I believe on that. So you have to go after your mission statement, like he said. Be close to this. Otherwise, no one will believe. Starting from your secretary.
Right, thank you for that. So next, Rick Dalrymple is with what is your company again? RJD Risk Management. Is going to be talking to us about how to set up systems for new hires, and he's been in business for 35 years. That's it.
It's what time is it? It's about 10 after, or 5 after 10. Why don't we just
We should take a break now?
7-minute break, 7.5-minute break?
Okay,
And come back.
perfect. Let's take a break and we'll come back.